A new Cold War is unfolding between China and the US, and of course, this has been going on a very long time, but this is what happens when you see this order of the world changing. The first thing I want to talk about is China telling the US to butt out. The second is that inflation is out of control, and we see that there are geopolitical factors here, as well as the monetary and fiscal policies that have been way out of control, and that creates the inflation that's out of control. The third thing is the changing economy. Many aspects here, including what's happening with real estate being completely unaffordable to the average person, average house, average person, average income, and they don't match up. Something's off. All of this and more, let's go. If you stick with me throughout this video, I'm going to show you everything that's happening with China right now. I'll give you the breakdown really quick. Sound good? Let's go. The Chinese foreign minister criticized U.S. export curbs in a call with the U.S. Secretary of State, underscoring the tensions between the nations before a possible face-to-face meeting of the leaders. This is the quote here. The U.S. side should stop its containment and suppression of China and not create new obstacles to bilateral relations. The U.S. side introduced new export controls against China, restricting investment in China, seriously violating free trade principles, and seriously harming China's legitimate rights and interests, which must be corrected. Of course, you look at this right now, it's really a bunch of events that have been happening over and over again here. As you see, most recently with China and Taiwan, there is something very big that is going on. I've been covering this at length. You also have what's going on with the BRICS nations. China is developing its own bloc of nations that are in fact becoming more powerful as time goes on. 40% of the world's population, you're looking at a growing share of the global economy, and now they want to set up their own reserve currency. You've got everything happening all at once. Currency wars, hot wars, cold wars, proxy wars, everything is happening at this time, and it is all really starting to boil to the top. Those tensions are real hot. Right here in the second paragraph, it talks about what we've been looking into in previous videos, that the US put restrictions on China's ability to access chips or semiconductors. And this is a very important thing because of Taiwan. That's why this is happening right now today. It is all about Taiwan. TSMC, one of the biggest chip making or semiconductor companies in the world, is in Taiwan, manufacturing there, and they supply basically the whole world with chips. And of course, whoever has the chips is going to be able to be superior. Anybody who doesn't have that access or restricted access is going to fall behind rapidly. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to occur, but this is where we are at today. China's willing to deepen relationship with Russia, according to the senior diplomat. Of course, we know this already, but I think it's important and it needs to be said. China is willing to deepen its relationship with Russia in all levels, and any attempt to block the progress of the two nations will never succeed. That's according to a high-level official. This is so important because right now, at this time, you've got these two countries, along with the BRICS nations as a whole, that are really expanding their relationship together. It is the legitimate right of China and Russia to realize their development and revitalization. You've got to understand here, when you've got these two countries, they're both being sanctioned left and right. They're both being restricted here and there. And of course, the US is doing this to exert their dominance. They want to have the top spot. They want to be kings. But they see other countries like China that are growing and are able to actually succeed in certain areas. Maybe their development has gone a little too fast, and the US is saying, what can we do to slow this down? This is all about national security, as they like to say. Well, one of those things is they can try to restrict access to semiconductors. And they're doing this. I don't know how well they're going to be doing it, but of course the best thing in all cases is to have good communication between both sides, to have it be a win-win. And if you don't think that can happen, it can, okay? In any business transaction, you might have one winner and one loser, but it could be, and it has happened where both sides can be a winner. Hey, you got soybeans? Let me buy them from you. That's great. Oh, you want to manufacture this? Sure, let's do business. Back and forth. Or you got those soybeans, we'll give you cash. What kind of currency do you want? How about a US dollar? Okay, or I want this one. They can talk about it, they can discuss it, and they can make it work. But, just like two old people, scrapping with each other, doing this back and forth doesn't help anybody. The people of these nations are not going to win if there's a war, even a Cold War. Imagine products stopped coming from China. Just imagine for a second how devastating that would be. Everything is produced there. What about the rare earth minerals? Oh, don't worry, we got them everywhere else. Oh yeah, where are they actually being refined and produced down? Almost the entirety of them globally are happening in China. So be careful what you wish for. This cannot be turned around in an instant. Okay, you're looking at this, workers fleeing from Foxconn's vast Chinese iPhone plant. You got to watch what's happening here because, of course, with all these lockdowns and things, it is accelerating. 27, 28 cities in China right now under lockdown. That has a dampening effect on the economy, no doubt. They're trying to keep them open and so on. But here we go. Hong Kong's Cathay Pacific to restart the use of its polar route flight path over Russia after it was axed in March because of the invasion of Ukraine. This is important because it might be a signal that this airspace is safe, right? If we're going to assume that they can go right over Russia all the way North America down into New York, then they're going to be able to say that, okay, well, I'm sure they've got some sort of inside knowledge that there's not going to be any activities over the air, at least no expectation of that. So they're able to do this. I thought it was a little bit of information connected with it, so I wanted to bring that to you as well. This is important, okay, because if you look at what happened with grain and Ukraine, that just happens to rhyme, grain from the Ukraine that hasn't been able to come out as it once did. Then, of course, you had Russia, basically, from what I understand, they've pulled out of this deal for one reason or another, allowing that grain to come out. This has an impact on the price not just for one place or another. I mean, a lot of countries are getting their grain from the Ukraine, from Russia, and that has really been impacted over the last several months. But there are also issues when you look at what's happening with commodities such as oil as well as gasoline. Pump prices are rising in the US as big oil profits soar. Yes, we know about this. There are certain companies that are making more money than ever before. Low inventories at the root of the price gains and spot shortages. So I want to see how this unfolds, and of course the higher the prices go at the pump, the worse people are going to feel about their sentiment. Consumer sentiment declines, they buy less stuff, economy slows down, companies start laying off people. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I thought it was an interesting article here talking about what's going on in Europe. So take a look here. Given the uncertain supply, companies and consumers have taken to creative workarounds. In Italy, Europe's biggest textile maker, some factories have had work outsourced to suppliers in Turkey, which still receives Russian gas. Older technology is making a comeback. Actually, this article's full of this stuff, and I'll show you right here what they're saying. Basically, the fact that these guys are paying, one example was, I think, 4 times the price for energy. 4 times. I mean, imagine your energy prices, whatever they are, let's say what they were a year ago, or maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Imagine 4x on that. What an impact that would have. In fact, let me know if that would be absolutely damaging to you or to people that you do know, because I think it's important that we discuss this. Also, I wanted to highlight the fact that if you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow's video is really important, and I'm leading up into what the Federal Reserve is going to do, and you're going to want to stay tuned into that, okay? So hit that subscribe button down below. Look, this inflation thing is really becoming a mess because when you look at the prices that have risen to this degree, there's only one solution, and that is to reverse what caused it in the first place. Inflationary factors, yes, we do have shortages, yes, supply chain, all that, but can we not take it back a step and really zoom out? Whatever you want to look at it. I'm going to take a bird's eye view. I'm going to step back. I'm going to zoom out. Use whatever analogy you want. And understand the fact that you cannot have a system in which interest rates stay super low. You pump trillions in left, right, and center, and there's not going to be an issue later on. We need to get wise to this fact. Okay, look here. Starter homes and where to find them. The once ubiquitous entry-level house is becoming the stuff of myths. I think it's important that wherever it is that you live, you need to address, is this the right place for me and my family? And I'll bring this up over and over again. Because I know a lot of people, they've lived there their whole life. Maybe they've got family there, and they've got friends there, and they're established, and they're comfortable. But one of the things that I've learned, which has given me so much success, is that I've become comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think people should do that too, in any aspect of their life. Now, this article here is talking about what's happening with quiet quitting. They're talking about the jobs market. They're looking at all the aspects around it. And essentially what I took out of this is that people are in a different frame of mind than they were in 2008, let's say 2009 timeframe. And it's a time in which really there's still so much, in my opinion, there's so much optimism because people are saying the Federal Reserve is just going to change things really quickly and we're going to go back to the time frame before. Okay, there's no need to worry. But here we are many months into this hiking cycle and they haven't let up. This is so important because this is what's driving everything today. Super low interest rates and the never-ending expansion of the central bank balance sheets. Are they going to be able to sustain an economy in which it relies on this entirely? And just think about the financial system. How can this go on? I really don't know. It's really mysterious to me. Okay, now I want to look at this in another light. Let me break it down. We must understand the importance between China and the US. Their relationship is absolutely pivotal, not just for the current, the now, but into the near future. China has been very clear about their ambitions that have made warnings about trying to prevent them from getting there. I mean, this is what I covered in this video is just a small fraction of that. The US has been attempting to restrict the growth of China to slow down their progress and adaptation to domestic consumption. Because before, China was highly reliant on exports. But now, every day, there's more and more domestic consumption that's taking place, whether it's to, agriculture, whether it's actually building buildings and other things, and of course, buying the cell phones, buying the cars, buying the trucks, buying anything. Important stuff. Many countries are getting more favorable terms with China as opposed to the US. So you can look at this. I talked about the example all the time with Brazil, and they're doing business with China when it comes to soybeans. When China made a promise to the US saying, we're going to buy a lot of soybeans from you. In fact, we're going to support your farmers. And then that whole trade agreement that wasn't a trade agreement, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So we just kind of walked away with that. That's all, I guess. Okay. And you look at the next thing I wanted to tell you as an individual, reduce your reliance on the current monetary system, financial system, and become more self-sufficient. You're going to be better off in the end. Okay? No matter what, the more reliant you are, at one point through a cycle, you get smashed. So if you simply walk that back a little bit, you're going to be better off. The US dollar is king right now, but this will not last forever. Try to earn additional income in a different country to diversify if you can, if it's possible. If you can sell your product or service that you have in a different country, that's going to make it much better. If you're earning Canadian dollar, US dollar, maybe you're earning euro, maybe you're earning Australian dollar, maybe even if it's only 10 or 20% of the total, this is diversification in the currencies, and maybe you could take that money and somehow be investing it within that country. Now you're getting a whole bunch of different exposure because we don't know what the future is going to look like. But we know that change is happening every day. Did you find this video informative? If you did, hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to see what I cover with the Federal Reserve. I'll see you tomorrow.